all almost starts the same way, blank long showers, then more blank moments with fluttering eyelids staring at a computer screen. Who am I to talk about success? So maybe I could write about a solo backpack trip or the exam that I aced or a really difficult project, but I'd still be the same person who still hasn't finished her Spanish diploma or figured where her career is going. So while there are like 100 things that I can write about, there's also 100 reasons why I shouldn't. It's been 3 years since I left the I want to be a writer quote outside a popular newspaper office and never went back for it. So it was a while back. I was 17 and I hadn't written for 6 months. So I was a neurotic mess of like creative urges and no inspiration. And at 17, that's the last thing you want to be. So a friend wanted a book signed because Ruskin Bond was in town. So I went along because I needed a friend. For all those of us who've grown up on Ruskin Bond, we know he's responsible for a huge chunk of our childhood that we associate with how things are. Mangoes grow on trees that grow in your grandmother's backyard, where you spend your summers after boarding school. Of course, in a parallel universe where I went to boarding school. And I had a grandmother who made pickles and lived in the hills. And I had really cool friends who ran away and worked on ships. And basically, I was a lot thinner. So basically, that was how it went. I went and the signing line was really long. And I didn't want my friend to think we didn't have common interests. So I started going through the book that I was buying. Ruskin Bond was signing this copy of Collected Fiction for Adults, which was basically a lot more juicy and a lot interesting to the now older me, but it was still as simple as ever. For all those of us who've read Ruskin Bond, we know how accessible his stories are, right? They're not distant. Like a lot of popular writers, their characters are people you aspire to be. There's a divide that you can't cross, Whatever you're going through, they're going through it better. If you're addicted to thumbs up, they're addicted to whiskey. They have better bodies. If you're scrubbing floors with a broom, they're probably doing it with a vacuum cleaner. Either way, they're always much cooler. So I decided, okay, fine, let's go through this book. So I was going through it, and there's something about Ruskin Bond's writing. It's like these characters and you are going through the story together. So I had decided only to skim through the book and not really read it, but I couldn't help myself. And I finished the book and I went home and read all that I had read about Ruskin Bond. And I remembered why I fell in love with him. And I also found the courage to write again. For someone who hadn't written for 6 months, there's a different kind of bravery that you need to finish that one sentence and go to the next sentence. It's not that you didn't want to write, even if you do want to write, it's just that your body has been so comfortable in this stage of not writing that you really don't want to you have to really fight to get the word out. So I fought and I wrote pages and pages and it was like Rusty on a new adventure. And when I was done, it felt really good. So now you would think, I thought that was it, right? I had crossed the hurdle and now it was going to be like a diary of words. I would never stop. But in a few months, I was back to ground zero or whatever it's called. I couldn't write, I was broken and it was like my life was over. Then a new inspiration came up and it was okay again. Now we hear these heartening tales of success where people have that one exam, they ace it and that's it, they're famous again. And there's that, I broke my leg but I danced and that was the final show. A storybook ends at a happy ending, and you think this is it, right? But the story doesn't finish. It still continues. What happens then? I think I got this whole success thing a little wrong, right? But think about it. Don't you think any famous lawyer that you know, there would be a day that he has a case that he can't win. Maybe later he does overcome it or he doesn't. Does that change about how successful he is? Or one day a motivational speaker gets up and realizes he can't find the words. Does that make him less successful? In this way, when Ruskin Bond signed that book, I realized that if he, at 70, however old he was at that time, can still write and fail and write again, who am I to wear one's success like a mantle? I realize the more I write, the more I can't. It all starts the same way, blank long showers. Then more blank moments with fluttering eyelids watching a computer screen. Who am I to talk about success? Panika Borkar on Writer's Block. Thank you.